Israel Folau will join us in just a moment. People have written to me in droves, and in response to the many thousands of comments that have been made each Friday when I've written in the Australian newspaper about what is now known as the Israel Folau affair. A further column on this matter will appear in tomorrow's Australian newspaper. But over and above your comments, many people are saying to me, I support Israel Folau even though I don't agree with him. At the centre of all of this are two very simple principles: freedom of speech and freedom of religion. I know this young man. He's a gentle Polynesian Christian soul. If you want to help him, by the way, just go to his website, israelfolau.com.au, follow the links and you can support him in his critical battle. But it's a battle for all of us. It's not for money. This is for principle. And as so many across Australia now understand, you or I could be next. As Senator Corey Bernardi said this week of Israel Folau, from his perspective, he's trying to actually help people by reminding them that much of what is considered acceptable today is still considered sinful under Christian teachings. Tens of thousands of preachers, pastors and priests say the same thing to their congregations every single day. I might add, at the time of the same-sex marriage debate, the much maligned Israel Folau said simply, I love and respect all people for who they are and their opinions, but personally, I would not support gay marriage. As I've written many times, I did support the yes vote. I believe that love is very elusive, and if people can find genuine love, they shouldn't have to apologise for it or explain themselves in relation to it. But as Janet Albrechtsen wrote this week, the sporting censors are stifling basic freedoms, be it Folau expressing his religious beliefs about homosexuals, adulterers and thieves, or the right of a bloke watching an AFL match to direct a few choice words at an umpire. As the former senator from New South Wales, Wacker Williams, said, 3 times I've been sworn into the Senate on my great-great-grandfather's Bible. If you go to court, you swear on the Bible to tell the truth, but don't quote from the Bible or you'll be sacked. The Qantas CEO, Alan Joyce, has described as outrageous claims that Qantas was responsible for the sacking of Israel. But, wink, wink, nod, nod, he did support the governing body's course of action. Alan Joyce said that the company didn't spend millions in sponsorships to be placed in controversial situations. Well, only controversial to Mr Joyce. I think he should understand it's a stretch for him to believe that he speaks for all Qantas employees and supporters, any more than Raylene Castle and Cameron Klein and the board speak for all rugby supporters. Of course, Mr Joyce is entitled to speak. I'm not sure he's entitled to speak on behalf of every Qantas employee. Thousands of them don't agree with him, but they're frightened to speak out. I know. They've written to me. No freedom of speech there. Mr Joyce argued this week that Israel had been warned in the past for his social media posts. What does that mean? That people are not free to proclaim their religion outside the workplace? We're in a very serious and dark place if that is the case. You see, before any rugby-appointed tribunal could meet on this issue, the Australian coach said Israel could not continue playing for the Wallabies. Just what Raylene Castle wanted to hear. What did she do? Well, she rang Qantas. She gave evidence to the tribunal to that effect. Quote, that evening I telephoned Miss Vanessa Hudson, Chief Customer Officer at Qantas, knowing that the post, that is Israel quoting the Bible on social media, the most widely read book in the world, Raylene Castle said she rang this Vanessa Hudson, Chief Customer Officer at Qantas, knowing that the post would be very concerning for Qantas. The post could not have come at a more sensitive time, she said, for Rugby Australia's commercial team. Remember, the so-called post on social media is not even a day old when she's saying this. I told Miss Hudson that Rugby Australia was taking Mr Folau's post very seriously. I sent her a draft of the statement that Rugby Australia planned to release the next day. Miss Hudson impressed on me that Qantas wished to see the matter resolved swiftly. So there we are. Rugby Australia doing the bidding of Qantas. Don't worry about the player, the long-term interests of the game. Certainly don't worry about the player's rights. Just assure your sponsor that you're going to sack your best player for expressing his religious views outside the workplace. Don't worry about reading before you do anything about the Fair Work Act or the Australian Human Rights Commission Act. Don't worry about that. Under the Fair Work Act, it's expressly unlawful to discriminate against an employee on the basis of their religion. None of this worried Raylene Castle. Her mind was firmly fixed on the sponsors. An intelligent leader would have accepted the challenge of explaining rationally to a sponsor how the matter should be handled to accommodate sponsor, player and employer. But Raylene Castle, the CEO of Rugby, in her subsequent appearance before the tribunal, made it clear who was calling the shots. And I quote her, I updated her. This is Vanessa Hudson from Qantas. This is less than 24 hours after the post. I told her that confidentially, Rugby Australia would be working towards a process to terminate Mr Folau's contract and that Ms Hudson can share that position with Qantas Chief Executive Mr Alan Joyce. Ms Hudson, said Raelene Castle, texted me later that day saying she'd only shared the update with Mr Joyce and he was appreciative of the transparency and he said a speedy resolution by Rugby Australia was paramount. That's described by me as Qantas calling the shots. We are in dangerous territory and thousands of Australians understand that. They also understand that they could be next in their workplace, expressing a view that the boss mightn't agree with. That's why people are giving money to fight the case. israelfolau.com.au. It affects all of us. When Professor Peter Ridd from James Cook University expressed his views on research into the Great Barrier Reef, he was sacked. Israel Folau quotes the Bible, he's sacked. A Catholic Archbishop in Tasmania quotes biblical teachings against gay marriage, he's threatened with being banned. Someone whinged about money being raised for Israel Folau's defence through GoFundMe, and they banned Israel from using the site. This further angered Australians, and so far, through the Australian Christian Lobby, he's raised $2 million, and the Australian Christian group have put an end to it. I mean, this will be a costly battle for all Australians. Rugby Australia is using money it doesn't have, which would be better spent on grassroots, to hire the most expensive lawyers in the country, to humiliate, alienate and destroy their best player. Last November, the Federal Minister for Education announced an independent review into freedom of speech within universities. It was undertaken by the Honourable Robert French AC, a former distinguished Chief Justice of the High Court of Australia. Amongst the conclusions delivered by Mr Justice French was the assertion that freedom of lawful speech is a paramount value and that students and staff don't need to be protected from being offended or insulted. The rugby family understands this. You understand this. For whatever reason, the rugby administration don't. As I've said, rugby are employing an army of legal advisors to bury this man. We should be pitching in and helping him, as Australians are. israelfolau.com.au. Israel has joined Peter and me here tonight. Thank you for your time. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been a very, very tough time for myself, Maria and our families the last couple of weeks, but you know, we're holding up really strong and the support from the general public and those that are close to us has been amazing.
How important to you is your faith and your faith as you understand it from the Bible?
Oh, look, it's the most important thing to me. You know, my identity is found in what's written in that book, and it's who I am and how I conduct myself each and every day.
I should point out that so many people have said, and they write, and they say, look, you must have hurt the feelings of people by mentioning them, mentioning various categories of people like homosexuals, and that you would have added to their, I'm just reading from one letter, their existing feelings of unworthiness. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, look, you know, like I said, you know, the Bible and what I believe comes out of that is very important to me. And as a Christian, I feel like it's my duty to be able to share that. And that's part of who I am and what my purpose is, which is, you know, it comes from, I guess, a passage from the Bible stated in Mark 16, verses 15 and 16. And certainly comes from a place of love, and it's nothing personal. You know, and just wanting to share that message of love that God is really trying to extend that to all people.
And if someone said to you, Israel, what you've said has hurt me, what would you say to them?
Oh, look, I can certainly, you know, see it from both sides, you know, and like I said, you know, if I had a child that wasn't a drug addict, you know, I would certainly still love my child, you know, without anything attached to that. You know, it's something that you know, I'm trying to share in love, and that's the way I look at it with in terms of sharing the Bible and the passages with you know, my fellow men each day.
Did you ever agree with Rugby Australia to not send the tweet in question?
No, I didn't.
Did they ask you to remove it?
Yes.
Did they offer you money if you removed it?
Yes.
And you said?
I said no. You know, I couldn't do that as a person that's convicted by my faith. I couldn't live. I couldn't live with that.
Why would players say... Sorry, Peter, please.
Asking you to remove it and paying you to remove it, is that because they wanted the problem to go away and they wanted to then say what there was an admission that you did the wrong thing? Was that how they'd sell it? Yes,
that's how they looked at it. And, you know, I felt like I was backed into a corner, into a boundary where, you know, I was put into one side that I, you know, had to compromise in order to, you know, to agree to what they were asking. But, you know, in the end, like I said, I couldn't do it because, you know, my faith to me is what's most important.
Why would players say they feel they can't trust you anymore?
Oh, Alan, that's something that I'm really trying to understand, and to be honest, I don't know the answer to that.
What do you think is your relationship with your teammates?
Look, I'd like to think it's very good. You know, I've played with a lot of these guys for, you know, a number of years now, and, you know, I've had some really, really good times with them, both on and off the field, you know, and I've really enjoyed my time playing with them. But, you know, again, it's, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinions and how they feel about it.
Your Pacific Island teammates support you, don't they?
Yeah, they do. You know, a lot of them, you know, share the same beliefs and the faith, and you know, I guess they can totally understand where I'm coming from and why I'm sharing what I'm sharing. So, you know, they've been really good.
You've been vilified and humiliated and punished for speaking out. Do you think some of your other Polynesian teammates are frightened to speak out and frightened to say, I support Israel?
Look, you know, they may be thinking that. You know, I can't, you know, speak on their behalf, but, you know, again, to me, like I say, you know, they've been very supportive over the last couple of months, and, you know, to me, like I said, my faith is the most important thing to me.
Peter, you and I were talking before we came on air about Israel's wife.
Yeah, and I've said this week, Israel, you know, we are long past the days when women are a chattel of their husband, right? But I was really perturbed to see how hard some in the media and indeed some sponsors have tried to attack Maria. These are your views, not necessarily her views. She has posted support for you as her husband. Should she be sacked, do you think, because of this? I mean, this is where it's headed. How's that been for her in particular?
Look, it's been extremely hard for her, you know. She's been dragged into this situation unexpectedly, and it's been very frustrating for her, you know. So, but, you know, I'm very lucky that she's a strong woman. She's you know, same as me, convicted by her faith, and you know, she's continuing to march on and stay strong.
How do you... What I often ask you this question. Israel and I talk regularly. How do you feel? How have you maintained your strength and your calm in all of this? You haven't dignified a lot of this stuff by responding to it. What is the most important thing to keep you able to endure what's being thrown at you?
It just goes back to my faith. Like I said, it's the most important thing to me. Together with, you know, the amount of support that I've been receiving from the general public. But to me, you know, all the backlash that I've received, it's been no surprise. You know, it says that, it states that in the Bible. You know, as a Christian and following after God's word, that you will encounter those things. So it's keeping me strong.
People like Bernard Foley, you've played a lot with Bernard Foley. He says you've hurt the game. Nick Phipps was made captain of New South Wales before their final match. He was blaming you for their season coming to nothing. Michael Hooper, the Australian captain, seems to be saying he wouldn't play with you. Does that surely must upset you? Does that cut at you, or do you just let that wash over you?
Oh, look, I simply let that wash over. You know, I've got no hard feelings towards those guys. Like I said earlier, you know, I've had some really good you know, moments with those guys, both on and off the field. And again, like I say, that, you know, they're entitled to opinions just as much as I am.
Drew Mitchell, he played with you. Drew Mitchell said to you, you're in a fight that you chose to be in after you broke the terms of your contract. I'm not sure that Drew Mitchell would have seen your contract, but he posted a picture of an ill child on social media. And he said the kids below are in a fight they never wanted to be in. And yet you think you deserve donations more than they do. It's no longer about religion, Israel, it's about you and your greed. Now, it's a pretty bitter message. Has he ever spoken to you or rung you or picked up the phone and talked to you?
No, he hasn't.
And have you ever said you deserve money more than sick kids do?
No, no.
You've maintained your silence, but have you ever said that we shouldn't contribute to ill and injured children?
No.
How do you feel about that, though?
Yeah, look, again, Alan, it's hard to understand, you know, but I guess it's something that doesn't surprise me. But, you know, I've got no animosity towards guys like Drew, who's a former teammate.
You're heading to the Fair Work Commission tomorrow?
Yes, yeah.
The last time you went to that tribunal, I remember you telling me that you were just overwhelmed by all this legal talk. It's pretty intimidating stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, yeah, as you know, I'm no expert in law, but you know, I've got a great legal team behind me, and they're doing a great job.
You understand, I mean, Peter and I have talked about this. This is a big issue beyond Israel Folau, isn't it? This is a freedom of speech issue, a freedom of religious worship. That's why the nation is watching this, isn't it?
And I also have to make a point about your employment contract, Israel, and I listened carefully to what you said to Alan there as well. A lot of Australians don't like the idea that employers could put in a contract that you sign for work, that they then own your political views or your religious views outside your work. I mean, even if some might say there were clauses in your contract about bringing the game into disrepute, there are plenty of footballers who do the wrong thing. You quoted the same book that we all hold up in our hand if we swear in court, swear to tell the truth. So this isn't a matter of an employment contract. This is also a lot of people around Australia who vehemently disagree with what you posted, but are absolutely behind you 200% and put their money there as well.
But is that in your contract? Is there anything like that in your contract?
No.
No. I mean, I just noted today, there are people playing the game who've belted women, they've taken drugs, they've trafficked in drugs, they've danced naked on balconies, they've belted people up, they've driven while drunk. They're continuing to play the game. You're quoting from the world's most read book, and you're banned for life.
Alan, it's hard to understand, you know. It's, you know, I'm trying to take all these things. It certainly hurts, yeah, for sure.
So what's the most important thing for you now, going forward?
Look, you know, it starts tomorrow with the commission heading there. You know, I'm hopeful for an apology from them. An admission that they were wrong. You know, that'll be something that I would like to get. And
then to keep you going, your wife, your family and your faith?
Absolutely, you know, driven by my faith, being number one, and my wife by my side, and family and friends.
Do you want to play rugby again?
Look, you know, I'm extremely proud to have represented my country. It's truly an honour. But again, you know, tomorrow is the first step in terms of legal stuff. You know, I'm looking for that apology, and if I can get that, you know, that'll be awesome.
Good on you. Lovely to talk to you, and good luck. It's nice that people can see what kind of person we're talking about. All the things that have been said about this young man, I think, don't add up when you actually listen to him speak and watch the way he expresses his faith.